Hello, thank you for watching. My name is Stacy Blodgett and I'm the Chief Executive Officer and a Certified Financial Planner Practitioner at Globe Wealth Management.
Hi, my name is Regina Kojan. I'm the Chief Investment Officer and also a Certified Financial Planner Practitioner with Globe Wealth Management.
Thank you for watching our second video in our series on how our firm, Globe Wealth Management, observes the 4 obligations of Regulation Best Interest and how we act on your best interests when making financial recommendations.
So, as a quick review, there are 4 components to Reg BI that we follow. 1 is disclosure. So prior to or at the time of recommendation, we provide you with Customer Relationship Summary, which is also known as Form CRS. This outlines the rules. The document can also be viewed on our website, www.globewealth.com, under Forms Gallery. Care. We exercise reasonable diligence, care, and skill in making recommendations. 4. Conflict of interest. We establish and maintain and enforce written policies and procedures designed to address any conflict of interest. And compliance. We establish, maintain, and enforce written policies and procedures designed to achieve compliance with Regulation Best Interest. This second video in the series addresses the questions around what fees will I pay? A client or prospective client may ask a financial professional, help me to understand the fees and costs you charge and how they might affect my investments. Say I give you $10,000 to invest, how much will go to fees and costs and how much will be invested to me?
So broadly speaking, the costs associated with investing vary depending upon the type of account you have and on the underlying investments that you purchase. In a brokerage account, if you purchase a stock, exchange-traded fund, or a bond, there is a transaction-based fee referred to as a commission or sales charge. Each time you buy or sell a security, this commission can be based on the trading value of the underlying security, the number of shares that you purchase in the transaction, and the price per share, or it could be a fixed rate cost. With a bond, the sales charge is usually part of the price you pay for the investment, referred to as a markup or markdown, and this is built into the price. So if you purchase a mutual fund, there's a fee, which is basically called a sales charge or a load, and it's a percentage of the amount invested. And there are different types of share classes that have different fees associated with them. There's a potential front-end sales charge when purchasing a mutual fund, or a contingent deferred sales charge, which is a back-end sales charge when you sell a fund based upon the time frame and the share class that you own. In addition, there are ongoing internal asset management fees and distribution expenses within a mutual fund, and those vary depending upon the type of underlying asset, the share class of the fund that you invest in. So an international fund may cost a little bit more than a domestic large company fund, where a small cap fund might cost a little bit more than a domestic mid-cap fund, because there's a lot more research needed. If you're investing internationally, you need to pay attention to governmental risk, monetary risk, and things of that nature. In a small cap fund, the managers are going to have to do research on small companies that are new and make sure that they understand their business models and things like that before they make the recommendation. So the underlying cost is a factor of the amount of research that's done in order to decide what to buy within the fund. The other types of investments that you may come across are alternatives and annuities that have their own pricing structure defined within their specific offering documentation. So we mentioned brokerage account, and advisory account is another type of account. So Regina, what is it for a typical brokerage account?
So there's typically no cost to open a brokerage account, although some firms charge a base fee for non-active accounts. Other costs incurred with a brokerage account based on your investment selections, number of transactions, and the share quantity. The commission is determined by the total of the value of the transaction and the number of shares. So higher value or higher price stocks may cost more per transaction than lower value stocks. It's often measured in cents per share, and the cost can range anywhere from 3 to 4 cents per share and up to $1 per share. So say, for example, you bought 100 shares of a $100 stock and the cost was 98 cents per share. You would pay $10,000 for the actual stock and $98 for the commission, so the total would be about $10,098. So a tangible example is if you think about a necklace. You can buy a necklace that's $10, you can buy one that's $250, or you can buy one that's $10,000. So depending on what you choose, what the materials you get, if you get gold and jewels versus just metal, it will determine the pricing of that and how many that you can buy for your $10,000. We actually feel that a $10,000 investment would be better suited to a mutual fund, as you will have better diversification and can spread out the risk. Using my prior example, if you bought 100 shares of $100 stock, that would only allow you exposure to one company. So it's the whole all your eggs in one basket kind of adage. If you purchase a mutual fund, the cost is based on the specific share class you invest in and the underlying types of the asset. For example, the average range for an A share in a fund is somewhere between 3.75 and 5.75. It's an upfront cost which would equate to roughly $375 to $575 based on our $10,000 example. There are also internal expense ratios inside the fund, depending on the share class, that comes out in the pricing of the fund. With C shares, there is no upfront sales charge, but there's also a contingent deferred sales charge, which is a back charge if you sell the fund in less than 1 year. The ongoing internal expenses are higher in a C share than an A share. Roughly the time horizon where the cost of an A share versus a C share would be about 6 or 7 years. Where it would make sense to buy the A share and pay the upfront costs versus purchasing the C share. For example, if you were building your dream home and plan on living there forever, you probably would spend more on the upfront quality of things. So you might have a higher-end heating system, windows, solar panels, things like that. You'd get the future savings on these items for maybe more energy efficiency, lower maintenance, and replacement costs over time. This is similar to the A share, which takes time to recover your upfront cost. A C share would be similar to a house you purchased built that's really nice, but you don't have the top of the line items in there. You want good quality, but maybe not the top of the line because you don't plan on holding the house for that long. You'd make it nice, but you wouldn't, like I said, spend as much money up front for the cost. So this is similar to a C share. There's no upfront sales charge, although the annual expenses are slightly higher. This may be a good investment for a shorter time horizon of ownership. So say maybe you only had 2 or 3 years, you might choose a C share versus an A share if, say, you had a 15-year time horizon. We recommend reviewing the prospectus and your long-term plans for your investment in order to make the best decisions for your specific situation. So Stacy, how much would I pay per year in an advisory account?
That's a good question. So advisory accounts can also be called wrap fee accounts and are generally priced on a sliding scale based on the invested asset value. There are breakpoints or discounts based upon the account size, and the average fees range from 1% to 3%. However, very large accounts may get additional discounts. An example would be $10,000 at a 1% fee would cost you $100 per year. A $10,000 investment at 2% would cost $200 a year. So the range that's charged is determined by the advisor and is based on the scope of the services provided. Within an advisory account, you also have access to institutional share classes of mutual funds that often have lower asset management fees than what are available within a brokerage account. I will mention that $10,000 typically wouldn't satisfy the minimums for an advisory account and might not be the most cost-effective way to begin investing. But that is something that's determined when you do the evaluation and discuss your goals. So what would make the fees for both options increase or decrease?
So in a brokerage account with stock investment, the number of transactions control the cost. So the more or less transactions would make fees increase or decrease. So if you do a lot of trading, your fees are higher. If you do a small amount or no trading, then it would be lower. For mutual funds, reaching certain breakpoints by investing more money in the same fund family can give you quantity discounts and reduces your overall cost. Breakpoints are typically at $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 and up, and can go up to $1 million or more. With an advisory account, you can also get breakpoints by investing more. Having higher assets under management can reduce the percentage charged for asset management fees. Some specialty or niche portfolios may come at a higher cost because they're paying for the portfolio management expertise, and it may be more costs involved in running that fund. So Stacy, how do wrap fee accounts differ, from arrangements where I pay separately for advice?
So a wrap fee has a billing structure based upon assets under management. There is a percentage of assets calculated against the value of your portfolio, and most often it's billed quarterly. So paying for advice can be set up as a flat fee for a one-time evaluation, or you can set up a retainer arrangement where you pay monthly for advice, and it's not based upon your assets under management. So Regina, does it make a difference if my account is actively traded or not?
So an actively traded, brokerage account does have commissions on each transaction. Therefore, it could be more costly compared to an advisory account where no additional cost per transaction. It really depends on the number of trades that you're planning on doing. So Stacy, what effect will the type of investment selected, stocks, bond, mutual funds, have on the overall cost of a portfolio?
Sure, the type of investment you select will be determined by the transactional costs and the holding period of the investment. So in a brokerage account with stock transaction, costs increase or decrease based upon the number of commissional transactions. The more you trade, the more it will cost you. If you hold the stocks for a longer period of time and don't turn them over as much, the cost will be lower. In a lower balance stock account, the transactions are a little bit more challenging because you don't have enough capital to work with. And in a mutual fund, there's a sales charge that you have to take into effect, and ongoing internal fees that are built into the daily price of the funds. So depending upon the specifics of the fund, you may have more expenses or less than a stock account because you're going to be holding it for a longer period of time. You will have diversification with a mutual fund as well. So in either case, higher fees can add a drag to the portfolio if it doesn't add additional value with better asset management. And that's where an advisory account might make sense, because the transaction cost of stocks or mutual funds is covered within the asset management fee. Therefore, there's no additional cost to buy or sell the transaction of the investment. You do also have access to institutional share class mutual funds and no-load mutual funds in an advisory account where the expense ratios are lower than what you would find in the brokerage account, which this could bring down the overall cost of the assets, and then you have to add the advisory fee on top of that. And an advisory account, you're also receiving professional portfolio management, ongoing monitoring and advice for the fee that you're paying. It's hard to really assess the actual dollar benefit of any of these different investment strategies because it's dependent upon each client on an individual basis. Mm-hmm. And you'd have to dig down and look at the specifics of that client's situation. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the advisor's component where they add value is called advisor alpha, and the advisor alpha can be add additional value by helping you stick with the plan, rebalancing the plan, and kind of help with some behavioral finance and making sure that you're understanding that you got to stay with it and optimize some of the tax efficiencies with regular reviews and knowing some of the outstanding rules of the tax code and retirement plan benefits for IRAs and things of that nature. So in some studies, such as those done by Vanguard and Dalbar, advisor alpha can add several percentages over time. So obviously there's no guarantee to this, and it's hard to come up with the actual dollar value, but statistics show that that is something that can happen over time. So the most important thing is the advisor can help you stick to your plan, help you make the decisions to stay in your planning lanes for the long haul. So with that, Regina, how are we compensated for doing this?
So in a brokerage account, we receive a percentage of the commission through the advisor's sales of the stock or from the mutual fund. We also receive a small percentage of the ongoing internal asset management fees of a mutual fund. In an advisory account, we receive a percentage of the fee charged. In closing, the fees that you pay for your investments are an important part of the growth of your net worth. We are cognizant of this and try to bring the right blend of investments that are cost efficient to each client's specific mix of investable assets, your net worth, long-term goals, and your needs. Our goal is to put ourselves on the same side of the table as our clients and not look at the big picture and try to make recommendations based on your overall financial planning. And we put your best financial place, first with what you have. This may not just be related to actual investments, to your organization of assets, tax deferral, optimization, distribution strategies, risk management, recommending you work through your estate planning and tax efficiency with your CPA or your tax attorney, or looking at your estate plan with the attorney.
This is the conclusion of our second video in our series in addressing Regulation Best Interest, or REG BI. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch our video, and we hope that the information presented is helpful and informative.
The video series can be found on our website, globewealth.com. Please check the tab out, Our Commitment to Our Clients. You can also watch the video series on our YouTube channel, Globe Wealth Management. Be sure to like or subscribe or click the bell to be notified of future content. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And we'll see you with the next video.